Hey everyone, in this video I will be reviewing another Vendetta Nexus Night Finals POV. This time I am playing Baited Hook Kennen versus Akali. I really like the Baited Hook version of Kennen because the playstyle is very similar to Darius Hook, which I played for a couple of months in a row. I'm still not sure what I'm going to play in Barcelona, but this is the current top choice for me personally. Okay, so I am on Trifarian Warcamp and my opponent is on the back alley bar, pretty much standard battlefields for game 1 for both of these decks. I won the die roll, surprisingly, so I will be starting off. I have a pretty good hand, a good choice of 2 drops. Here I'm deciding whether I want to play Merchant or the Shadow Disciple, I think it's named, because I have a Matron in hand. So I am looking to see if I top deck, let's say, a Captain or something else. I can discard it from the Merchant and then play the Matron from hand instead of Baited Hook. My opponent plays the Snake Lady from the new set that has Empower, get +2 if she survives a combat. So here I'm pretty much deciding what I want to do. So I choose to move into the Warcamp first. So the Merchant will be 3 might. In case I want to Baited Hook it, I discard my Lightning Rush because I can flow it from the grave anyway. And then I Baited Hook the Merchant since I can hit anything in my deck. The highest might I can have is 4. So I get pretty lucky. I hit both the Matron and a Nocturne. I choose to play both because I can get back the Merchant, I can play the Nocturne, and now I have 10 power in base on turn 2, which of course is a pretty high swing. He was asking, did you cycle a purple rune for the Nocturne? But I said, yeah, if you cast it from the ability, you don't have to cycle purple, you can use any color. So even though I cycled 2 runes, I feel like I'm in a pretty comfortable spot. I also empower Kennen because I played something from not my hand, which was basically all cards that I just played this turn, except for the Baited Hook. Empowered Kennen allows me to go over pretty much anything he can put in play, because if I run in with the Nocturne and the Matron, that's 10 might. I feel like that's pretty rough to stop. So he chooses to play the Stellarchron Herder in base and not go to a battlefield, respecting the fact that I have a lot of might and also have the Kennen empowered, which I think is the correct choice. Here I do the same as last turn, so I move to the Warcamp, discard the Tentacle since it also has flow, draw new Tentacles, and I'm probably gonna Baited Hook here again. So first thing, actually now that I'm looking back at it, I should have played a card first so that Legion is active in case I hit a Vanguard Captain. So I get 5 options here, but Illaoi is by far the best, because now she will make a Tentacle, become 5 might, and since I have 3 open, I can just flash back one of the Tentacles that are in grave or in hand, and make her 7. So I choose to play the one from hand. Since I don't need to empower yet. I'm not sure if that's correct. Is there a reason why I should play the one from my discard instead of the one from hand? Maybe because then I have more hidden information. I am not sure now that I'm thinking about it. Let me know in the comments what you think. I pass the turn. I choose not to go to 3 points because I feel like I don't need to. And putting my Matron or Nocturne on the back alley bar will just put them at risk for Stellarchron Herder with Discipline, and I would be giving them basically a free resource trade when I don't necessarily need to, since I'm 2-0 ahead. So here we are just chatting a little bit about the Empower token. He has like a nice 3D printed one that his friend made. I was like wondering, oh, where did you get those? Because I really hate using the Empower token that you get from the packs. Anyway, it's his turn, so he moves into the back alley bar with the Stellarchron Herder after empowering Akali, draws a card, moves it back, draws a card, readies it, and now he can move it again to draw another card. This really shows the power of Akali and Stellarchron Herder because he's drawing 4 cards in 1 turn, which is insane. And now he's just deciding if he wants to move back into the battlefield or not and draw another card, which battlefield he is moving to. I don't really remember. Oh yeah, I do. He goes back to the back alley bar, draw another card. The Stellarchron Herder is now 4 might for moving away from it once. He chooses to charm my Illaoi, which is currently at 7 might. because of the 3 tokens that I have in base. So he still has to give it +4. So this is the first +2. Discipline puts it at 6. And then he adds another end guard to make it 8 and kill my Illaoi. I am not sure if this is worth it, but later I asked him about it and he said, yeah, if you keep Illaoi in base, I just start spamming more tokens. I already, of course, had 2 of the tentacle cards in base and I had the captain in hand. So he was like, yeah, I want to deal with Illaoi now before I can no longer really kill it in any respectable way. So he passes turn. He's currently at 1 point. I'm at 2, but he has stepped out with only 1 unit in base. So I can pretty much freely move my Nocturne into the back alley bar, go to 3 points. And I'm probably going to move a token to the Trevorrow War Camp. Oh yeah, there we go. So I go to 4 points. I'm so much ahead on both board state and point tempo. This is looking pretty comfortable for me. So here I am deciding if I want to play something, if I want to Baited Hook first, what I want to Baited Hook. I should have started off with stack deck here, because now I am starting with Baited Hook in hoping to find a Vanguard Captain. But the problem is I didn't play a spell or card yet this turn, so Legion is not active. So even if I did hit a Vanguard Captain from the Tentacle on the War Camp, I wouldn't get any tokens. Here I only hit a Nocturne, which I also cannot get from the Hook activation, but I have to get from the ability. So I cycle another rune, floating the energy. And I decide to put it next to the other Nocturne because they both have ganking, and I just want to make things as difficult as possible for him without really risking any resources. Here I'm deciding if I want to play another Hook, get another activation going. I decided against it because it's probably not worth it, so I fire off another stack deck to see what my options are. I find the Captain, so I would have hit it but not gotten anything if I did another one. I decide to cycle another rune and put my third Nocturne. Yeah, you can see my opponent put his hands up in the air like, okay, well, you got pretty lucky here. And I agree, because now I have 12 might with ganking on the battlefield while he only has 1 unit. Here I was deciding to want to play the Captain with Legion active and get the Captain with 2 tokens in base, but I didn't want to go down to 1 rune, so I just play the Tentacle with Flow from the graveyard. I'm at 4 points, my opponent is at 1, my battlefield is stacked, my base is stacked, my hand is still pretty full. The only thing is I'm pretty low on runes, but that's fine. I think I'm in a pretty comfortable position here. So at this point in the game, it's pretty much up to my opponent to kind of get out of this situation. Honestly, I don't really see a world where he can, you know, go over the battlefield without losing anything and also get point tempo back, since I'm already so far ahead. He has to deal with the 12 my Nocturnes. Worst case, next turn, they all live. I gank 1 over to the other battlefield to just reuse 1 of the token, move all my Nocturnes back, go at 6 points, and he really has to, fight an uphill battle that is in Riftbound. It's really hard to make a comeback like that. So after thinking a little bit, he decides to shoot a Falling Star at 2 of my Nocturnes, marking them both with 3 damage. At this point I'm like, yeah, what's the plan here? Because if he moves in his Snake Lady, he will only just kill 2 of the Nocturnes. So here he decides to move her in and move her out to empower her and make her 4 might. But then I point out, if she survives combat, she's empowered, yes, but that also means a combat showdown happened, and at the end of every combat showdown, all units on the battle or on the board heal. So I told him, like, yeah, but if you do that, then both of these Nocturnes will, be back at full health, and you basically did a Falling Star for nothing. So he's like, oh, can I take it back? I'm like, yeah, sure, we're playing a Nexus Night, I don't really care, and I understand that this is not the intended play you were going to make anyways. So he's back into the thinking tank. So he has 2 Nocturnes on the battlefield marked with 3 damage, and I'm just, pretty much chilling. I have some option in hand. I can play the Matron to get a Merchant back. I can play another Hook. I can just stack deck and then Hook one of my units. There's not much that I can do wrong here, I think. So my opponent is still deciding what he wants to do after marking my Nocturnes with 3 damage each. So he decides to sacrifice his Snake Lady to take care of both of them. Again, I think this is just kind of a desperation play because he's looking at the battlefield, he's looking at the base, and now he's just playing as Akali and developing and maybe praying to do something next turn with Shuriken flips and movement. But still, he is at 1 or 2 points, and I'm still I'm at 4. So it's looking pretty dire for my opponent here. Not sure what he is thinking about here. Maybe about Shuriken flip to take care of the Nocturne, but I think he respects that I would then just overtake with the Matron and Assault 2. So I flip 2 Maroons, draw a card, get a second Captain. You know, it's not really anything special. Here I'm deciding, do I want to leave the Nocturne on the battlefield? But of course that's not the right decision since Akali will be 6 when she moves in. Since I do have some options here, I'm just taking a little thing like, okay, I'm gonna go to 6 points here, almost guaranteed. My opponent's at 1. It's a done deal, but I still, since I'm testing for Barcelona, want to make the most optimal play, just to prevent myself from giving up a game that is a done deal. I've done that in the past, and I think it's one of the most frustrating experiences you can have in a card game. So I go to 6 here, move my Nocturne back, put the Tentacle on the Trifarian Warcamp. Probably gonna leave it there because, you know, hooking, the only things I can hit is another 2-drop or a Captain. It's not ideal. So I'm thinking, okay, let's start off with a stack deck probably, just to see what's on top, what my options are gonna be after resolving that. So I'm not sure. Yeah, so I stack deck. Kennen is still empowered. He just chooses to defy it. I didn't remember this. I feel like you don't really need to defy a stack deck here. I cannot hit any more Nocturnes, so the higher roll potential is not there, and my hand is already full. So it's not also like I'm digging for something. So after him defying the stack deck, I choose to play the Vanguard Captain, and he's asking me like, but Legion is not active, right? And I pointed out that they recently changed the rules that for specifically Legion, you don't need to resolve the card anymore. So putting a card on a chain is enough to make Legion active. Unlike, let's say, a Ravenbloom student, which specifically needs a card to resolve before it gets +1, all Legion abilities are active as soon as something has gone on the chain. So I pass back the turn. I'm at 6. You know, base is pretty stacked. Next turn I'm gonna have 5 runes, which is gonna be quite a lot. He only has Akali in base. I think at this point he's just gonna, you know, see what is possible. So he goes to 2 points finally. Put the Akali on the Trifarian Warcamp, and yeah, I don't think there's anything he can do. I think this game is over. My opponent's gonna have a little think if there is a way out. And I'm pretty much saying, yeah, he accepts that this is over, so he just drops the hand and says, yeah, let's go to the game 2. I think the turn 2 play was a little bit too explosive for him to deal with, and from there on I could just extend my lead going into the rest of the game. Alright, so let's move right into game 2. My opponent will be starting off. He is playing the Targon's Peak. I think it's the strongest battlefield that most Aurelia, Akali type style decks, Draven will be playing when they start off. I am playing the Forbidding Waste to make holding with 1 unit harder for my opponent, either forcing them to commit more units to the battlefield, exposing them to, you know, removal, or you know, they have to sacrifice the unit that they put there. So here I play a Lightning Rush to start things off because I don't really so I want to check if I can find a 2-drop that is better than what I have, which is the Shadow. I think I was looking for Merchant, or just getting more information before playing the Shadow Disciple anyways. Here I had a pretty interesting decision. So I had the Gust Monk, which allows me to, you know, buff a unit temporarily by giving it Assault 2. I have the Kill the Weak unit, the Safety Inspector, and I have a Seal. I was thinking about taking the Safety Inspector for later in the game, since you cannot target Akali with any removal spells, but I opt to choose the Seal because I have a pretty power heavy hand, I have the Grand Stratagem, I have the Baited Hook, and I can flash back the Lightning Rush again. So I chose to get the seal because this deck really does snowball a little bit harder if you don't have to cycle all your rooms from like the Nocturnes, hard casting Matrons, and I want to make sure that I'm able to cast a Stratagem when I need to. So here I'm just having a little thinky, developed Akali in base and untapped 2 runes from the Targon's Peak. So I'm definitely not moving into the Snake Lady. I keep forgetting the name. So I'm definitely not moving in there, because even if I empower my Disciple, or I mean my Kennen, by flashing back Lightning Rush and milling 1 card from the Shadow Disciple, it will be 5 might. If he has 2 combat tricks, then I will lose, and I think that's a huge blowout after investing so many time and resources. So I choose to instead move my Disciple to the Forbidding Waste, make it 3 might, and just play the Baited Hook and develop my base a little bit. So I cycle a rune, pay the seal that I found from Lightning Rush, and then I hook away the Shadow Disciple, which is now 3 might. It allows me to find anything in my deck. Again, the highest might units are the Matrons, the Xinzaos, and Illaoi. So I find the Captain. Legion is of course active because I played 2 cards. I empower Kennen because I played something for my deck, and I get 2 tokens. Of course, he's going to be ahead in point tempo because he now holds to 2 points. And depending on his approach, he can go to 3. Personally, I don't think going to 3 points is correct from him right now. So he retreats the Snake Lady back to base. He develops the unit that kills, and then he Shuriken flips, because I think he's just laser focused on getting rid of my Baited Hook. So he wastes, in my opinion, a Shuriken flip to get rid of it, because now his unit is exposed. I can just run into it with my Captain. It gets -2 from the battlefield, and I basically get the point back for free. If he waited 1 more turn, yes, I would have gotten more activation out of the hook. But he also would have been able to probably clear more if I left something on the battlefield. Maybe, well, now that I'm thinking about it, I probably wouldn't have left anything on the battlefield, because it would allow me to move in the Captain and hook something back again. But here I choose to kill the unit by empowering a token, leaving the Captain in base because I don't really need to use it. And also, since I cannot hook it, I don't want to leave it on the battlefield. That makes it vulnerable. So here I'm thinking what I want to do. If I want to flash back my Lightning Rush first to get a little bit more information and re-empower my Kennen. But this time, like, hey, it's looking okay. He only has 2 units, and Vex, Shadow Disciple are pretty nice to develop. And I do have the Grand Stratagem in hand. So here I decide to go to 3 points. Normally I wouldn't do this, but since we are playing on Targon's Peak, I can, you know, hide my Kennen for free from the seal and then untap 2 runes, which then will allow me to stun a unit that he moves in, and either make him expend resources to take care of the Targon's Peak battlefield, or just let me stay there, hold for 3 to 4, and let me retake point tempo without losing basically anything here. So I have 2 open, I pass turn, I let him take the Forbidding Waste with the Snake Lady, which will now be empowered, going to 4 might, but since it will probably stay alone on the Forbidding Waste, it is basically 2 might. So he chooses to flow the Shuriken flip, which kills the token before I can use my Kennen to stun Akali. So that's a pretty nice heads up play. I didn't remember that it had flow. In the end, he chooses to use the Snake Lady, which is even better because, you know, I cannot stun it. It will be 4, he will still get the Targon's Peak, and Akali is pretty much safe in base. He was feeling pretty comfortable this game, which I understand. He was ahead in points, but I think he underestimates the amount of power that I can generate. And of course I also have the Grand Stratagem, so I wasn't really sweating it. I was just chilling, developing the board, and I was like, in worst case I can just hold and try to fire off the Grand Stratagem, and if he runs into it, it's gonna look pretty good for me at that point. So here I untap, I have a Shadow Disciple in hand, a Ghost Monk, and a Grand Stratagem. Of course I'm not gonna fire off the Grand Stratagem here. He has 3 runes open, which is quite a lot, but he only has a 4-might unit. So I'm just thinking here, okay, how can I get rid of the 4-might unit with the least amount of risk? So I said, but worst case scenario, you have 3 Vanguard, so it's going to be 10. So I move in my Vanguard Captain and my Shadow Disciple in to make it 6. He does have the first Vanguard to also make it 6. I choose to empower my captain and make my board 8, or at least at the battlefield. So either I force him to have another trick to trade, or have 2 to win, but then, you know, he's expending a lot of resources. In hindsight, maybe I should have made sure that I could go up to 10, but I was like, yeah, then you need to have discipline, and guard, and that's pretty much unlikely. So here I choose to move my Vex onto the Forbidding Ways to go to 5. I don't remember exactly why I did that. Oh, I do. I do this because I wanted to just keep open the Grand Stratagem and overtake point tempo, because if he moves in and cannot deal with the +5 from the units, I basically win the game here by shifting both board state advantage and point advantage. So I develop a Shadow Disciple in base. I forgot that I had the Targon Speak trigger. Otherwise I also would have played the Ghost Monk, I think, or just flashback something from Grave, because I do think that I have a Lightning Rush. So yeah, that was just a misplay on my end. Here he moves in, he does the trick with the Snake Lady where he has empowered Akali, moves it in, moves it out to make it 4. And I just slam the Grand Stratagem here because his Snake Lady is only 4. I will make my Shadow Disciple 7. My Vex will also go up to 9, basically 7 since it's Alone of Forbidding Waste. And now he has to either spend more resources to take care of this small 2-drop or let it go. So he lets it go here, probably because he doesn't have enough ways to kill it efficiently. He has 3 cards in hand. I'm pretty much comfortable at both battlefields, and he only has an Akali in base. He's just thinking, do I want to deal with one of these units right now and get a point or not? So here I realized that I missed the Targon Speak, so I technically had 2 mana open still. But I told him, like, yeah, that's my fault. I'm practicing here, so I won't take it because I need to remember. So yeah, let's just continue playing without me having the 2 runes ready. It might have also impacted your initial play anyways. So he moves in here with Akali, which will go to 6, and then add an Iron Guard and make it 8, overpowering my Shadow Disciple at 7, making him score a point and also allowing him to trigger the Targon Speak. Fortunately, my Vex will survive the turn. I will go to 6, which is of course the ideal point place to be at. So now if I can overtake this Akali without losing a unit and go to 7 points, I pretty much win the game because he doesn't have anything in base and he doesn't have a Shuriken flip that he can flow. So with the information I have right now, I'm just thinking, okay, what is the worst thing that can happen if I run into Akali? I do want to kill it. So here I'm debating, okay, do I want to bring back... actually, I'm going to flashback the Lightning Rush first. So I activate the Empower of Kennen. He chooses to defy it. Luckily, I have 2, so I'm like, okay, sure. I play a second Lightning Rush, which will now empower my Kennen. I look at the top 3 cards, and the Xinzao pretty much changes my play. So here at this point of the game, okay, so what's the most power I can generate in order to crash into Akali? So first I was thinking, I take the Dragon form, make the Shadow Disciple 5 base might, use the ability, make it 6, and then I can go up to 8 with the empowerment of Kennen. But then I was like, okay, but if he has multiple pump spells, 8 might not be enough. I don't remember if he had 1 or 2 cards in hand after the Defy. I think he had 2. So yeah, I think we would trade with 8, but I just want to, you know, score the 7 point and get rid of it. So I choose like, okay, Dragon form I can play from Grave. And if I play Xin Zhao, I actually go to 9 might, which is 1 more. So I play Xin Zhao. I have to retreat Vex because otherwise Xin Zhao, of course, is not ready. So I play Xin Zhao, I move in both, trigger the Shadow Disciple, and I go to 7 might. Yeah, he doesn't have anything, so he just drops the card and scoops. Because he's aware that, you know, after this turn I'm gonna win anyway, he cannot win. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed another video. This one is a little bit shorter, but it featured the new decks from Vendetta, which I think is interesting. And I don't really have a lot of more time to test. I hope to record one more video before I go to Barcelona, but I'm probably not gonna attend any more Nexus Nights. So let me know in the comments if you also want to see content from Barcelona itself, but since I'm pretty much focused on competing and getting the best results as possible, I might not be able to record that much. Alright, thank you and see you in the next video.